Welcome to our channel of our Dream in the Woods. Today I'm just going to talk to you about the sawmill we ended up getting, how we set it up, and this basic functions and features of a Woodlands HM130 Max. Hope you enjoy. I went with 4x8s for the beams that the sawmill was going to ride on, and then 4x6 treated into the concrete. We ended up renting an auger for the skid steer, 18-inch auger, and we went down about 30-35 inches. Initially I thought maybe it'd take about 20 bags of concrete, the 60-pounders. I put 20 in, went back, got 40 more, and that was enough concrete to do the holes. My dad and I augered the holes, and we were maybe a little more aggressive than we needed to be as far as how much dirt we took out. But it's a solid base, which I think for a portable sawmill that you're not going to move for several years is a good idea. With these metal plates I got at Home Depot, I wanted a T-plate on any joints. I have one joint on this side, and then I staggered the joints on the second rail. Everywhere else I just went with a standard plate with some structural lag screws, but came out pretty stretched. 2x10s for the bottom for support, and then a 2x6 running over the top of it. And kind of the idea is when I calculated it up to be about 30 inches to the bunk for working height. So we'll see over the long haul whether that is a good height or too tall, too short. I do anticipate maybe having to build some kind of a walkway or a catway here, and that'll elevate the height, and you could adjust it at that time. But right now it seems be a pretty good working height. Assembly of the sawmill itself, once it comes, it just kind of comes on a pallet in these great big boxes, packed really well. There's basically two components that you have to assemble, or two stages. I opted to get the standard track system, and then two extensions. Each extension is 6.5 feet, so the total log length, I'll have to get a measure on it, but I can cut up to about a 22-foot log on this mill. And I knew I was going to be doing some beams, and so I wanted the longer extensions, and I'm seeing some other benefits from that. The disadvantage with setup is a little bit longer, and leveling takes a little more time because you're leveling twice as much stuff. But basically, just a couple different components of the rail system and the bunks. Goes together pretty good, just lots of bolts. And then I'll show you the leveling feet, quite a few leveling feet throughout this whole thing. Paying particularly attention to the track width, and then the leveling of the track system. If you can get the width and it level, that's the basis of everything. And then of course a strong base to put it all on, I thought was important. See all kinds of different bases that people are doing it. Homemade trailers, they make a trailer kit for this. We didn't opt to do that. This location here for the sawmill is going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 years, and may stay here permanently. So we plan on using the sawmill quite a bit over the next several years, so it'll be an active site. So I'll show you the different components to that. But assembly for this sawmill is a lot of fun, I think. It's basically like being a kid and getting a huge Lego kit, and you just dive into the manual. The manual is very good, step by step. And I basically did the base myself, and then my dad and I did the saw head together. which was also a lot of fun and fairly easy, straightforward. And then transported, did the bunk here on site after I had the base in, assembled the saw head at my house, and then pulled it over with a skid steer. This is the sawmill head. The guts of the machine. Assembly was fairly straightforward. The motor part of it and the bracket that it's assembled to and the saw head are all one component. You kind of tip it out of the crating, and then all these beams and everything are all separate and kind of bolt on. You bolt all those things on loose, just kind of finger tight, and then once it's all assembled, transport it, get it up on the rail system and roll it back and forth so it kind of marriages it, and then check it for level and plumb. And then once you kind of do that and you kind of got the systems all set, then you tighten everything down. That went pretty smooth. I still have a little problem with these main rails not being quite plumb, but so far it's been working. There's quite a few different adjustments to get this thing square and level, from tilting this whole thing this way to tilting it this way. And so of course, starting with your bunk level is the main thing, and then once that's done, then making sure your blade is level to the bunk and then isn't twisted from one way or the other is the main thing we're looking at. And I think I'll just kind of go into the different components of the saw head now. So this is I think it's about a 3-gallon water tank that then comes down to this tube. There's a mechanism right here that when it's throttled up, it pushes that, and then the water comes down onto the blade here. Primarily the logs I've been cutting so far have been lodgepole, and they are varying degrees of pitch to it. I just cut a great big log and it gummed up my blade pretty bad, so there is some gunk on it right now. I have been running some dish soap, some Dawn dish soap, and some pine sol in there, and previous to cutting that log, it was doing a good job of keeping that blade clean, but I need to run it some more and either need to increase the pine sol or hopefully it'll just clean up. Just open up the saw head real quick. So the basic function of the sawmill, pretty simple, band saw, so just continuous band here, 2 wheels, and it rides on these belts. And so this is a follower belt. This is supposed to be loose, even has a sign there. And then this is the drive belt. This runs off the motor, centrifugal force clutch in there that engages this pulley and then rotates that. And so the blade itself doesn't ever ride on these wheels. It rides on this belt here as how it grips it, and then doesn't go metal on metal, so it doesn't wear out. Real important to have this belt tight, and then this adjusted correctly. You kind of fill in the back, should be about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch on the back of the wheel, and basically centered. You don't want the teeth on the wheel itself or on the blade, so you're also kind of checking all the time to make sure that on both wheels that the blade is centered correctly. This is a blade guard here. It's adjustable. There's little spacers in here that the blade rides on or guides. There's a bearing in the back that also pushes against. It tells you pretty well in the manual how to set those up. You don't want them touching, but you just want them close, as close as they can without touching. Blades 1.25 inches. You can also put 1.5 inches. I see other guys have put 1.5 inch blades on and had success. So right now I've just been running the stock pine ripper blades that come from Woodland Mills so far. The shield just has one little quick release screw and then 3 claps that are adjustable so they click nicely into place. So protects it and pretty safe. The sawdust is designed to come out this little end port over here. The back part of the sawmill here, pretty simple. This is the throttle. You always run it at full throttle. Make sure you come to full throttle before you enter the log. This here is to raise and lower the saw head. And so the log is always stationary. It's the saw head itself that moves up and down. This is your handle to pull the blade support front and back. It seems kind of tight, so probably needs some adjustments. Here on the back on the motor, it does have electric start, so that's nice. It's a 14 horse Kohler, and then just has a choke and then a fuel on off switch there, so fairly simple. Battery does not come with the sawmill, so you have to buy a battery. And then it does have an hour meter up here, and I'm up to 11.7. So 11.7. I don't have a lot of time on this machine, just starting to learn it, and I can't say that I'm good at it yet, but pretty well figured out how to make most things. Another component is the tension mechanism for the saw blade, and it has a little sticker on here saying the torque between 20 and 25 pounds or 2.5 to 3 full turns from snug. Everyone's definition of snug is probably different, and so my mind doesn't work that way, so I went to a torque wrench that it torques it the same way each time. I go to 23 pounds. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it seems to be working at the moment. So you snug it up. A lot of people will watch this bearing here as it goes into that housing, but I usually you just get it there and then start using the torque wrench. So I hear that click. So that's good to go. It's torqued up. After each use, you want to make sure you loosen this to take that tension off the blade, and it'll last longer. Once you torque that blade up, you just want to give the wheel some turns, make sure you can't hear anything, and then to check that it's riding correctly. So you just test the back of it, make sure the belts are in good shape and that nothing's touching anywhere before you start the sawmill up. Kind of the pre-startup procedures. Pretty self-explanatory, but at the end of the day, you just take the pressure off of the blade by turning it back until basically it just kind of gets loose. Pretty easy there. Another component to the sawmill are these log stops. They come with on each bunk, and what I found out at the very beginning was I wasn't getting quite square beams. They come with 2 different adjustments on it to then square the log stop to the bunk. And when I first started, I wasn't getting square beams, and I paid particular attention on how square this is and those adjustments. And then like this one I have number 3, so they weren't created equal, so I pay more attention on which one I'm using at the time, and actually I have some more on order, so each bunk will have their own set and tuned to that individual bunk. So it comes with a long one and then a little short one here. So when you're doing smaller stuff, if you can cut down to 3/4 of an inch from the bunk to the blade height, and so if you go all the way down, like you can do that. So it comes with this kind of cool little case here, unscrews, and that is where the manual is supposed to go, but I printed one off and put it in a binder. I prefer to look at it in a flat binder than a rolled up manual, because I have been referring to it quite a bit. So maybe tools, maybe some drinks in there, but really nothing. But it does look kind of cool. On both sides you'll see something similar to this, and that is an adjustment for those idler wheels on the front and back. They say not to move this one, that this one should be factory set. I have had to use the other one when I have changed the blades out, and it's pretty self-explanatory if you use the manual. So other than that, everything rides on these pulley systems. Pretty simple design, really well built, pretty easy to operate. So that's kind of an overview of the Woodlands mill. Hope you enjoyed that. In future videos I'll show you how we put the logs up and make whatever kind of lumber we want out of this thing. So. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's little video of the sawmill overview. Hopefully maybe inspires of you to maybe get your own. It's been a lot of fun, practical, and oddly satisfying to get a mill and mill your own lumber. Hit like and subscribe. That makes a lot of difference to Beth and I hope you enjoy our YouTube channel, Our Dream in the Woods. Thanks for coming along.